The maintenance bay of the Celestial Spire station hummed with the usual cacophony of alien machinery. Cale Doran wiped grease from his calloused hands, surveying the Threxian cruiser's engine with the practiced eye of a man who'd spent 15 years keeping humanity's presence alive in the outer sectors. Most species considered mechanics beneath them, but Cale had learned that a good wrench and stubborn human ingenuity could earn respect where diplomacy failed. The emergency klaxon shattered his concentration. All personnel. Seal corridors immediately. Containment breach in Royal Quarters, Section 7. Cale's stomach dropped. Section 7 housed Queen Eris of the Valtorian Empire, whose visit had transformed the usually relaxed station into a fortress of protocol and tension. The Valtorians were apex predators, standing 9 feet tall with crystalline exoskeletons that could deflect plasma fire. Their queen traveling without a full military escort was unprecedented, a gesture of trust that had every station administrator walking on eggshells. The corridor lights flickered red as Cale grabbed his toolkit out of instinct. He should have headed to the safe zones, but something about the frantic edge to the announcement pulled him toward Section 7 instead. Human curiosity, his father had always called it, usually right before explaining why it would get him killed someday. The Royal Quarters entrance gaped open, security doors twisted like paper. Inside, the scene was chaos. 2 Valtorian guards lay unconscious, their armor scorched. Queen Eris herself stood in the center of the room, her usually regal posture tight with something Cale had never expected to see on an alien empress. Fear. But it wasn't for herself. A creature the size of a large dog cowered behind an overturned desk, its silver-white fur matted with blood. Its 6 legs trembled and one hung at an unnatural angle. The wolf's violet eyes held an intelligence that transcended species, and in them, Cale saw pure terror. This had to be Fenra, the queen's companion that station gossip had described as both adorable and fiercely loyal. Between the injured wolf and its queen stood the problem, a malfunctioning security drone, its recognition protocols obviously corrupted. Sparks flew from its chassis as it advanced, weapons charging. The thing had likely been damaged in the initial breach and now couldn't distinguish friend from threat. The shields. Queen Eris's voice was cold command, but Cale heard the desperation underneath. I cannot reach her. The drone's field is blocking my path. Kyle assessed the situation in seconds. The drone's electromagnetic shielding would fry any living tissue that got too close. A safety feature turned lethal by corrupted code. The guards' weapons were too powerful to use in the confined space without risking Fenra. And that charging cycle meant the drone would fire in less than 30 seconds. Human. Mechanics weren't trained for heroics. But Cale had spent his career making impossible repairs in impossible conditions. And he'd learned one truth. Every machine had a weakness. Your Majesty, I need 15 seconds, Cale said, already moving. He grabbed a magnetic clamp from his kit and a length of high-conductivity cable, his mind racing through schematics he'd memorized years ago. Human. You'll die. Queen Eris began. Probably, Kyle agreed, sprinting toward the drone. But so will Fenra if I don't try. 10 seconds. The drone's weapons glowed hot. Kyle slid beneath its hovering form, his smaller human frame fitting where the massive Valtorians couldn't follow. The electromagnetic field made his skin scream. Every nerve ending on fire, but he'd worked through worse in reactor cores. 7 seconds. He found it. The drone's emergency maintenance port, a relic from when these things were actually designed to be repaired. His fingers, already blistering, worked the clamp into place. 4 seconds. The cable connected, creating a direct short between the drone's power cell and its shield generator. It was crude, dangerous, and violated about 17 safety protocols. It worked. The electromagnetic field collapsed with a sound like breaking glass. The drone dropped 2 feet, its systems overloading. Cale rolled clear as Queen Eris moved with impossible speed, her crystalline fist punching through the drone's core and ripping out its power source in one fluid motion. Silence fell, broken only by Cale's ragged breathing and the soft whimper from behind the desk. The Queen rushed to her companion, her hands surprisingly gentle as they ran over Fenra's injuries. The wolf's violet eyes, however, weren't on its mistress. They were fixed on Cale with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. You saved her life, Queen Eris said quietly, her voice stripped of its usual authority. Fenra is more than a companion. She is bonded to my house, a sacred trust passed down through generations. Her loss would have been... She paused, and Cale realized with shock that the alien queen's hands were shaking. Unbearable. Kyle sat up slowly, his burned hands screaming in protest. Just doing what needed doing, Your Majesty. Though I'm pretty sure I violated my employment contract. A sound like grinding stones emerged from Queen Eris's throat. It took Cale a moment to recognize it as laughter. I will speak with your administrators. She looked down at Fenra, who was still watching Cale. It seems you have made quite an impression. Over the following days, a station medical base patched Cale's burns, and Fenra's leg was set and healed with Valtorian technology. An unusual bond formed. The wolf refused to leave Cale's side, much to everyone's surprise. Valtorian bond wolves chose their loyalties carefully, and such a choice had never included an alien before. Queen Iris explained it during one of her visits to the medical bay. Fenra has claimed you as pack. In our culture, this is a sacred bond. She will protect you as she would protect me. Cale looked at the wolf, who had somehow managed to squeeze her considerable bulk onto the foot of his medical bed. Those violet eyes watched him with unwavering devotion. I'm just a mechanic. You are the human who walked through fire to save her life, the queen corrected. In Fenra's eyes and in mine, you are far more. When Cale finally returned to the maintenance bay, Fenra padded beside him, her silver-white fur gleaming under the harsh lights. The other mechanics stared, but Cale had stopped questioning it. He'd learned that sometimes the universe had its own ideas about where you belonged. And if a human mechanic with an alien queen's sacred bond wolf as his protector wasn't the most HFY thing imaginable, Cale didn't know what was. As he settled back into his work, Fenra curled up beside his tool chest, her 6 legs tucked beneath her. Her violet eyes never left him. A constant guardian born from one human's refusal to let the impossible stop him from doing what was right. In the cold void of space, that was the most human thing of all.